You're jolted awake by the sound of blaring sirens, and in a daze you look around the dimly lit room. Through the curtains comes a blood-red glow. You slowly walk toward the window and pull back the curtains. An intense light from outside is blinding. You bring your arm up to your face to shield your eyes. As you squint to bring the world into focus, you see something looming in the distance. A mushroom cloud the size of a mountain rises from the ground. It's finally happened. World War III has begun, and you most likely won't survive it. You run across the room and grab your cell phone. It's dead. The EMP blast from the nuke has wiped out all electronics and microchips in the surrounding area. You run to grab the survival kit you built based on one of your favorite infographics show videos. It has everything you need to survive a doomsday scenario. You take out the crank radio and you turn it. Over the static comes a crackling voice. The announcer confirms what you've been afraid of this whole time. The voice on the radio, it fades in and out. You can only make out pieces of the announcement, but it's clear what's happening. The world has broken out into all-out war. This is nothing like past world wars with soldiers, tanks, and planes. No, this war is all about nukes, cyber hackers, and space. The voice on the radio relays which cities have been hit. It started with Washington, D.C., then Hong Kong. Retaliation from the Chinese took out Los Angeles, then the nukes were launched at Moscow. The Middle East in its plumes of fiery oil and gas. Mainland Europe is at war with Britain. Almost every major city in the world has been hit. Billions of lives have been lost instantly. But what about you and the others who were lucky enough to survive the initial blasts? Could you survive World War III? Probably not, but let's see what might be in store for you. As you prepare to leave your house and seek shelter in more rural areas, you hear the radio announcer trying to determine how the carnage started. It seems that no one's quite sure who launched first or who the aggressor was. Before World War III broke out, there were some ominous conflicts brewing. You hear a shuffling of papers as the broadcaster organizes his notes. He, like everyone else left on Earth, is trying to make sense of what's happening. The announcer begins his rundown of what sparked World War III and the end of the world as you know it. This all could have been avoided if the United States and Iran maintained diplomatic relations instead of blowing up each other's military assets, he says. Or maybe it all started with North Korea threatening the United States over and over again. Then someone with a happy trigger finger launched the first nuke. My best guess, continues the broadcaster, was that China had finally caught up to the military strength of the US, and differences in ideology led to a conflict that may very well end up eradicating all of humanity. You grab your survival kit, thank you to the infographic show for helping you to prepare for a doomsday scenario, and you walk out of your house. Planes have fallen out of the sky and lay in fiery wrecks around your neighborhood. The EMP blasts from the nukes fried their controls and caused many to fall from the sky. You start walking down the street. You know the radiation from the nuclear explosion is enough to cause third-degree burns even if you're miles away. Not to mention even small doses of radiation can cause mutations in your DNA, which can lead to cancer and other diseases. Just by being within eyesight of the nuclear explosion of World War III means you might not survive. Then suddenly something enters the atmosphere causing a sonic boom. You look up and shield your eyes as a fireball careens toward the ground. The object smashes into your house, causing it to ignite in a fiery explosion. You run back to see what happened. Where your house once stood, there is now a large crater. On one of the metal shards that's sticking out of the earth, you see some writing. You kick the debris off to clear the dirt. The acronym NASA adorns the metal plate. The fireball that fell from the sky and destroyed your house was a satellite. This is a new type of warfare, you think, the warfare of space. You look up into the sky and see flashes of light beyond the atmosphere. World War III has gone beyond the terrestrial world and now includes the cosmos. Crude rockets are launched to take control of the International Space Station. It's not a military asset per se, but it offers a strategic advantage. From the ISS, rockets and other spacecraft can be refueled. Satellites can be manipulated, and data using onboard sensors and cameras can be relayed to the military. World War III has now weaponized space. Outer space is not the only battleground that's not on the planet's surface. Hackers have turned cyberspace into a war zone as well. They've taken control of military assets on both sides of the war. These hackers might be working for the opposition or just for themselves. Either way, they've hacked into satellite guidance systems and military computers. And this war is not led just by the generals of the military, but by the tech geeks who command the world of code as well. World War III is a physical war and a cyber war. Since your coding skills are not up to par, you figure it's best to get away from populated areas and the technology that's associated with them. You never know when a hacker will take over one of the military's autonomous robots or drones and send it after you. There's no way I'm going to survive this, you think, as you head toward the city limits. As you run toward the tree line on the outskirts of town, you begin to cough. There's smoke coming out of the forest. What fresh hell is this, you think? You head for higher ground to survey the area that used to be a protected state park. You climb the ladder of a water tower and take out the binoculars from your survival kit. Where would I be without all the survival tips from the infographics show, you think? Probably already dead. From the water tower, you see that the forest is ablaze. Smoke pours out of the treetops and into the air. When the nuke went off, the residual heat ignited part of the forest, and now the uncontrollable blaze is burning away every tree in its path. This is all happening around the world. It's at this point you realize you are in big trouble. Yeah, you were in trouble before, but now you see what the future holds. Winter is coming, and it's not the Game of Thrones version. The winter that's coming for you is nuclear winter. There's no way you're gonna make it through this alive. The weapon of choice for World War III is the nuke. Unfortunately for all of humanity, nuclear explosions have long-term effects that are more widespread than just the initial explosion. You leave the urban area that was once home and head for the rural lands away from any major hub of civilization. You figure that the safest place to be during World War III is where there is little technology and even fewer people. You find an abandoned coal mine that's been drilled into a mountain. The thick rock walls provide you some protection from radiation and keeps you shielded from the natural elements. Your new cave home keeps you alive for a little while longer, but how much longer will you be able to survive with nuclear winter on the horizon? As you step out of your cave in the middle of the afternoon, the first thing you notice is that it's dark. The smoke, soot, and debris that's been flung up into the atmosphere by the nuclear explosions is suspended in the air. The superheated air around where the bombs went off forced particles from the surface to rise. The debris in the atmosphere has blocked out the sun. Earth's temperature has begun to cool. You're in the early stages of nuclear winter. In the days that follow the beginning of World War III, soot and smoke from the smoldering remains of cities enters the atmosphere. The nuclear blasts melt everything from plastics to metal and release harmful chemicals into the air. This not only began blocking out the sun, but vast amounts of carcinogens and other chemicals are swept across the planet by wind. No one's safe from the nuclear fallout. Next came the firestorms. The cities where nuclear devices exploded are on fire. The surrounding towns are on fire, the forests are on fire. These fires never get a chance to burn out before the wind sweeps them across the planet. In the United States, the fires in Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Seattle are swept across the Great Plains, causing the entire Midwest to burn. In Russia, even with its freezing temperatures, the forests are ablaze. Anything that could catch fire did catch fire. No one's safe from the flames of the nuclear holocaust. And with those flames, smoke and dust rise into the atmosphere, ensuring that sunlight won't shine on Earth for weeks. And after weeks of no sunlight, it starts to snow. It isn't white snow like you played in as a child, but black snow. What falls from the sky is all the soot and debris from the fires that are burning the planet. The charred black snow covers the ground. At least the sun's back, you think? Unfortunately, it's too late. The lack of sunlight has caused the Earth's temperature to drop and nuclear winter to begin. You lived through nuclear bombs exploding, you lived through fires engulfing the planet, you lived through black snow falling from the sky, but now that nuclear winter has started, you most certainly won't live to see the return of summer. The days go by and World War III is slowed down, not because there's a clear victor, but because everyone is a loser. The human species has lost. You are one of the few remaining individuals of a now endangered species. After the black snow begins to fall, the temperature declines by 30 degrees Fahrenheit. Killer frosts and sub-freezing temperatures wipe out much of the remaining plant and animal life on Earth. You struggle to find anything to eat and unpolluted water to drink. You subsist entirely off of old army rations you found at an abandoned military base. Even in the extremely cold temperature, your body burns from the inside. There's no escaping the radiation that was ejected into the air from the hundreds of nuclear explosions. Like you, plants and animals around the world are suffering from burns and harmful mutations caused by the radiation. Evolution cannot keep up with the rapidly cooling planet and changing environments. Almost all life on Earth goes extinct. You sit in the mouth of your cave and look out at the once smoldering, now freezing world created by World War III. Some humans who reached fallout shelters will survive longer than you. It'll be years before all the soot and dust particles descend from the atmosphere. It will be decades before the radiation from nuclear fallout decreases to livable levels. It'll be centuries before life is able to bounce back from the devastation World War III has caused to this planet Earth. And it'll be millennia before the climate and ecosystems in heavily hit areas return to stability. You will not survive World War III. If you're able to make it through a nuclear attack without being incinerated in the initial blast, avoid being poisoned by the radioactive fallout, or getting killed by collateral damage, then you'll be one of the lucky few. But like most life on the planet, you'll not be able to survive the nuclear winter that follows World War III. There will be no winners in this type of war. On a positive note, life on Earth will eventually bounce back. Humans are currently messing up the planet in many ways, and someday we might be our own demise. But planet Earth will carry on. Thousands of years after the end of World War III, when nuclear winter has subsided and the climate patterns become stable under new norms, life will evolve to thrive in a post-human, post-World War III world. Who knows what life will be capable of after World War III eliminates all humans on the planet? It's too bad you won't be around to see it. If you're worried about how likely World War III is in the future, then check out our video, What Are the Chances of World War III? Or if you want to be even more prepared, watch How to Build a World War III Bomb Shelter.